weather just suddenly changed. The wind that came up blew the front door open. When all at once it got dark and everything went black, and that was it.
It's the 100th anniversary of the Fergus Falls cyclone, June 22nd, 1919, the single most impactful event in the history of Fergus Falls. So to commemorate this event, we've put together this exhibit. So far it's been received very nicely. A lot of people like it, lots of information. The photographs are wonderful. And of course there's some artifacts from the tornado, and we're pleased with it.
There were reports of a lot of rumbling going on. There were also reports of people just knowing. There was this eeriness of the day. In fact, lots of people said they knew something was going to happen. They knew that a storm was going to happen. They, of course, had no idea of how large of a storm it would be.
So about 4:50, 4:52, the first funnel cloud appeared and touched down in the community. It touched down, and we believe there were 2 tornadoes. There are 2 accounts of 2 funnel clouds that hit Fergus Falls. And there was no warning system, of course, no radio, no TV to tell people. So people scrambled for safety as best they could.
There is a debate over how many funnels and the path. There is some still debate going on. The newspapers right after the storm reported that the first funnel touched down 3 blocks south of the state hospital and came down that corridor of Vine Street, and then another branched off and went around the northern and then east side of Lake Alice. Most of the destruction that occurred was in that heart of the city, Vine and Lincoln area. The death toll is still hard to be completely precise on. We think if we say 58, that's pretty close. There's a couple families that really were hard hit with deaths. One of the families that comes to my mind, the Kreitzer family, who lost some teenage children. And then the Palm family, the mother, father, and one of the children died, leaving 3 small children.
One of the biggest buildings that was destroyed was the Grand Hotel. A number of deaths occurred at the Grand Hotel. Within a few minutes, the 2 tornadoes wreaked havoc on the city of Fergus Falls, destroying or damaging much of the community. Over 50 people were killed, hundreds injured, and it forever altered the landscape of the community.
This storm happened on a Sunday, and the fact that it happened on a Sunday was actually a good thing because a lot of people were out of town. People were not in their businesses. People were not in the schools. And so that actually was a very good thing and probably kept the death toll down. Our logo design, we used a WPA project painting, and it is of the destruction of the Catholic Church. The cyclone blew out the center of the Catholic Church, and so I think that was something to illustrate this storm. We have hundreds of photographs, and so it just meant that we needed to look through those and make some subjective decisions. But anybody that wanted to see more could come and use our library to view even more cyclone photographs. We probably have about 500, I would say, in our collection.
A lot of the photographs were taken by a man named W.T. Oxley. He was a photographer. He lived up on North Cleveland. When the storm hit, he and his family went to their cellar. Immediately after the storm, he picked up his camera, loaded it on his truck, and went out into the streets of Fergus Falls and documented the damage literally within minutes of the tornado. Cyclone and tornado were kind of used interchangeably. I mean, they are 2 different things. It's about the rotation of the winds. Except the next day in the Fergus Falls Daily Journal, the term cyclone hits Fergus Falls. And so we've kind of historically used the term cyclone, even though it's incorrect because it was a tornado, but the term cyclone kind of stuck. It was just immediate recovery, taking care of the injured and of the dead, but really, literally within a few days, the recovery process began. It was remarkable the recovery effort took place very quickly. Within months, the Union Avenue and Court Street bridges were rebuilt. You had the county courthouse rebuilt in 1922. You had the Great Northern Depot rebuilt in the early 20s. Literally, I think within months, the community was rebuilding. So you see a lot of activity taking place by 1920.
If you really study these pictures, you kind of go, wow, how is Fergus Falls still here? Because this storm destroyed 2/3 of our city. But you know what it also does? It just tells us the resilience of the people. They all rebuilt. All that was destroyed was rebuilt, and it was rebuilt even better.